This episode is brought to you by State Farm. From your morning podcast to your afternoon playlist, State Farm knows you personalize your entire day, and that's why State Farm helps you personalize your insurance with the State Farm Personal Price Plan. It offers coverage options that help protect what you care about most at an affordable price just for you. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
I think I just won my taxes.
Yeah?
I just switched to H&R Block in about 1 minute. All I had to do was drag and drop last year's return into H&R Block, and bam, my information is automatically there.
So I don't have to go digging around for all my old papers to switch?
Nope.
Sounds like we just leveled up our tax game.
Switching to H&R Block is easy. Just drag and drop your last return. It's better with Block.
She tied a bucket to a fence and threw it over my property, and it was on my property.
Because he's never there, and the dogs were thirsty. It's 100-degree heat, and they're out there going. So I lowered a bucket on the other side, and I filled it with. And we love animals. I filled it with water. Okay. Because I felt bad. He's never there.
This is the plaintiff, Connie Collins. She says she's an animal lover who currently has 14 dogs, 3 horses, a cat, and she used to have a beautiful pony named Ginger. That is until the defendant's vicious dog got loose once again and attacked Ginger, ripping her face off and brutally killing her. Ginger was a member of her family. Another one of her horses had to be put down because it had a nervous breakdown over the loss of Ginger. And she's suing for the state max of $10,000. For all she's out. This is the defendant, Joseph Solario. He says he knows the plaintiff thinks his dog killed her pony, but he didn't. Another type of animal did. His dog and the plaintiff's dog were friends, and his dog often dug under the fence to go play. It was never an issue until her pony was killed. The cops exonerated his dog because the bite marks didn't match up. It was determined another animal did it, and he's sorry for her loss, but he's not responsible. He's accused of a big pony problem.
All parties, please use your right hand.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Millian in our forum, the People's Court.
Be seated. Come to order, please. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Ms. Collins, you are suing your neighbor, Mr. Solario, for $10,000 that you say you were out as a result of his dog getting loose and attacking and killing your pony.
3 dogs.
3 dogs. Tell me what happened.
The dogs, the original 2 dogs was a puppy and an older dog, and they dug under half a dozen times, and they weren't a huge threat, but I did tell him, I said, look, you can't have these dogs over here because there's going to be an accident. I have small dogs, and sometimes the small dogs go down with me to feed the horses. And I would push them back under the fence and fill up the hole and then call him and tell him, hey, look, you got to keep these dogs over there. But those were the only 2 that had come over, was the older dog and the puppy. And he said, okay, you know what, I'll keep them over here, I'll do something. And then the dogs disappeared. So I said, okay, fine. He took the dogs somewhere else to live somewhere else.
Does he live there?
He lives next door.
Oh, yeah. He lives in that house next door.
Well, he's never there.
Okay, but is that where he puts his head down? Do you lay your head down to sleep there? Is that where you live, or is that a second place, or what?
That's where I live, Your Honor, but I don't understand how she knows that I'm not there. Was she spying on me or something?
I guess. She's looking for you to talk to you to tell you that your darn dogs keep coming across the way. No. So had she told you before that your dogs were getting over there?
She did approach me once about it, but the reason I found out why my dogs were going over there is because she was feeding them, and she was actually leaving a bucket with water there. So she was kind of...
Why would you think that was for your dogs that are fenced in on your property?
Because it's on my side of my property. She tied a bucket to a fence and threw it over my property, and this was on my property.
Because he's never there, and the dogs were thirsty. It's 100-degree heat, and they're out there going. So I lowered a bucket on the other side, and I filled it with. And we love animals. I filled it with water. Okay. Because I felt bad. He's never there.
All right. So then what happens?
Well, when I told him, he said, okay, I'll take care of it.
And had she told you to please take care of it and make sure that they don't, she could, if she's putting a bucket of water there on your side, lowering it because you're never around and they're panting, that's a far cry from inviting them onto her property. Either way, a fence solves the problem. It should solve the problem. So what measures did you take to make sure your dogs didn't get over there?
Well, I left them in the immediate backyard. So I have an extended backyard, which is an acre lot, roughly around there. But I left them in the immediate backyard.
Which would keep them away from the part where they had been digging?
Yes.
All right. But then on the day in question, had you let them go into the big one?
I did let them go out to the big one because there was no concern anymore because apparently the bucket disappeared. There was no bucket there anymore.
Right. But what was the integrity of the fence? Like at some point you put chicken wire there?
I did put chicken wire. I also put some actual, I think they call them pallets, some pallets across the fence.
Pallets?
Yes, pallets.
What are you talking about? Describe what you're talking about.
Like they're wooden.
Yeah.
They're wooden
okay.
carcasses.
So you put some wood there, and then according to you, none of that worked because one fine day you walk outside and what do you notice?
Well, I walked through the gates and here's these three big dogs, and they're charging at me and they're covered with blood. And I said I couldn't find Kayla.
Who's Kayla?
That's the husky that we have that lives down there with the horses. And I couldn't find her. I thought, oh my God, they killed Kayla. But when I went to the back of the property, Kayla was in the corner, and the other corner was my pony with his face ripped off, muzzle and everything. And Kayla had some punctures in her neck, but she was okay. It wasn't anything that needed stitches, and she, so she was going to be able to deal. But the pony was gone.
Now, how old was the pony?
26.
And then you would use that horse, you would rent that horse out for parties?
Birthday parties for kids, yeah.
What is the life expectancy of a pony?
40.
You originally sued for the value of the pony and set it at $3,000. You walked in here today and set it at $6,000. Where did that come from?
Because it was, I could never replace the pony for that price. And it takes years and years of training for ponies to be able to go into a strange atmosphere, get into a horse trailer, go into strange atmospheres, balloons and clowns and characters jumping around. I can never begin to replace him for that amount. And I don't even remember where that amount came from.
Well, but I hope you do, because you're going to have to prove it to me now.
Well,
if that's what you're asking for. Where do you get your evidence about what a pony costs? Yes. I need to see that now, because you're trying to establish that in a court of law that you're entitled to either $3,000 or $6,000. Yeah. So you have an estimate? Do you have how are you coming up with your figures?
Well, mostly through the Horse Trader magazine and places where they sell.
Well, can I see that?
I don't have
Okay,
that.
But you can't just say a number,
Yeah.
Right? So what breed was the pony?
Welsh. He was a Welsh pony.
Welsh pony. Okay. Do you contact him when you see that the pony's gone?
Yeah, I called him right away. I was like, oh my God. And I called him and he said, well, my dogs didn't do that. And I said, well, they're in my yard. They're covered with blood. The pony's his face ripped off, and And he said, well, are the dogs there now? And I said, no, I called animal control and they came and took them. And he said, well,
So did animal control contact you?
Animal control did contact me May 12, 2018. And at the time I wasn't home. I just recently got a promotion for become an assistant fire engine operator. So I was living at Humboldt County State.
So you weren't living at that place?
It's still my primary residence, but my job or my occupation as a wildland firefighter deems me to sometimes be gone.
Okay, so who takes care of the dogs when you're gone?
My brother.
Okay, does he live there too?
Yes.
Okay, so go on.
When she called me, I said, are you still feeding my dogs? And she said, no, I'm not feeding your dogs anymore. Okay, so that immediately states right there that she was feeding my dogs, intentionally leading them, and It's kind of funny because prior to this incident happening...
Okay, but you had told me already that prior to this incident, she had told you that she, to please keep your dogs contained. And she says she would you feed them animals too, or would you just give them water?
Oh, I threw them a few biscuits, once in a while.
Right, so, that's not the greatest idea if you don't want them burrowing. Like if you know an animal is burrowing and then you become a place they want to burrow to, that's kind of not the best idea. But in any event, you still have a responsibility to keep your animals on your side. What did you think had happened? I mean, you know that your animals, how many of his animals got into your yard?
Well, there was 3 there when I went through. There was another, the older one was still on the other side, but I don't know if it'd come through and gone back or not.
So since then, you've installed a fence.
Yes.
And that's worked.
Yes.
Have you stopped feeding the animals?
Oh, yeah. No, no.
When this happened, when had been the last time that you had thrown a biscuit or given water?
About a year.
All right. So what happened with animal control?
So I have a documentation here stating that from all the evidence that was collected, that they threw out the case because there wasn't enough sufficient evidence to deem my dogs liable of what they might have been accused of.
Let me see the evidence that you're saying. Thank you. Did anyone take a picture of the hole?
Yes.
Yeah, we have as evidence.
What's this a picture of?
Those are the dogs.
Whose dogs?
His dogs. When they came over the fence, under the fence, and then
what kind of dogs are these?
They're boxers. Your Honor.
Okay, and you have leashes around them?
Well, yeah, I put them in a stall. I have other horses out there.
Yeah.
So I put them in a stall and called animal control.
What are these pictures of?
Pictures of the fence. I can't really tell.
Yeah, and the pre-existing condition of the fence and part of the backyard of the neighbor. There are also under a folder that says hole in fence.
Is this the pony?
Yeah, that's
I'm so sorry.
High-resolution photos.
It was horrible.
Just horrible. Who is this dog? Which dog
That's Kayla. She lives back there with him.
How's Kayla doing?
She's good. She's fine.
This is the older dog that didn't go through the hole?
I didn't see that one over. She was just sitting there.
Everyone was just so cavalier about the problem, because this is so obviously a problem. This fence isn't even properly installed. I mean, it's, basically the dog can go, and the dust moves and they can freely come over. And
welcome back to the People's Court. Harvey Levin here. So, could 2 boxers do something that bad to a pony?
With the pony just standing around, I definitely think that without intervening, the dogs would go.
They're slobbery dogs. They have big jowls. Are they capable of that?
I don't know. Dogs are unpredictable, possibly.
What do you say? You're going to be the last word.
I think they can be aggressive at times.
They can be aggressive. I'm just wondering if they got the chompers. I guess they do, going inside the courtroom.
So I did look through here. There is a page where these folks decide that without an eyewitness to it, it is insufficient to prove by a preponderance of the evidence that your dogs did it.
Yes.
Okay.
Also keep in mind, Your Honor, that we live in a very remote area. It's a desert, and it has been known to coyotes roam the area.
Was there any evidence of a coyote there?
No.
Okay. No. Unlike animal control, I have absolutely no problem finding that your dogs are responsible for the death of the pony. 0. The only thing that causes me to hesitate is the feeding of your dog over there, or at any time, which kind of invites the dog. It's lunacy to me. If you really want to keep animals separate, how anybody could think that a rolled up chain link fence, because it's literally rolled up, was going to keep, around dirt, was going to keep the dogs away, or placing some pallets there that got moved away by these strong dogs was going to keep the dogs away. I just don't understand. I don't understand how anybody thought these dogs were going to be ending up kept separate. You want me to order him to pay you $3,000, which is half of the fence. The first question I have for you is, can you prove that the fence cost $6,000?
The fence? No.
Well, then how am I going to... Let's start with that. And your defense to that is the fence is something she's choosing to do. Why should you have to pay for it?
Yes.
I understand how you feel like, hey, I had to put this fence in because you don't contain your animals. And that may be true. You had to put the fence in because his animal wasn't contained. But that doesn't translate into a legal obligation for him to pay for the fence. That's something you chose to do, and it was a smart thing for you to choose to do.
But we had to keep our animals safe.
Yes, absolutely. But that doesn't translate to an obligation on his part to pay for the fence. It just doesn't. So I'm not finding in your favor on the fence. The removal of the pony is something you're entitled to. I need to see a receipt for that. Do you have a receipt for the $250 that you said it cost?
I have a canceled check.
That's fine. On the pony, I value, and this is very rough justice because you brought me zero to set a value. I've gone on the internet to try to set a value on a comparable animal, which is almost impossible because of the age of the animal. But I'm valuing it at $1,800, not at $3,000, not at $6,000. And I am finding in your favor in the amount for the removal of the pony, which comes to $2,050 total on your claim against him. I'm not finding in your favor on lost wages. So that is a net judgment then in favor of the plaintiff and the amount of $2,050. That's my judgment. Good luck, folks.
Plaintiff is the only one who prevails, and just a little over $2,000 at that. Mr. Solario, what about your dogs? Are you worried about them? Do you think they could have done that? Yeah, I know you said they weren't proven, but do you think they could have?
No.
Are you afraid? Any reason to be afraid of them?
Well, I would be afraid of my dogs losing their life, but that's not the case anymore. They're in my possession, and I'm just glad to have them back.
Okay. All right. Good enough. Thank you very much. Sorry it worked out that way for you. Ms. Collins and her husband are on their way out of the courtroom. Boxers aren't known to be, if you'll step over here, please, they aren't known to be that kind of, and if you'll step back a little bit, okay, directing traffic here, that kind of vicious animals, aren't they?
No, I didn't really expect that. I didn't realize that they could actually kill my pony. But he was a beloved pet, and he made a lot of children happy. And he was just a wonderful pony, and his loss is...
So in your mind, there's no question those dogs did it, right?
Well, it's not rocket science.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, that's, you know...
All right. Well, you didn't get paid back for the recovery for the fence, but it's a good thing you have the fence, you know?
Oh, we love the fence.
Good for you.
Yeah, we can't do without the fence.
Okay.
We love
Well,
that, and we got to keep our animals safe.
Good for you. All right.
Yes,
Thank you very much. It's
Thank
obvious
you.
You're an animal lover. Very
Oh,
good.
yeah, we love our pets.
Thank you, folks. All right. Thank you. Harvey?
So, I mean, look, the pony was 26, the life expectancy is 40, and the judge just had to do rough justice here and figure out what a 26-year-old pony might be worth. That will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
So good, so good, so good.
New markdowns up to 70% off are at Nordstrom Rack stores now. Fresh kicks, spring tops, new dresses. There's always a score.
I mean, the denim section is unreal.
Why do I rack? All the dresses. I always find something amazing.
Head to your Nordstrom Rack store to find can't-miss deals on all the spring things. Great brands, great prices. That's why you rack.
This is the plaintiff, Andrew Tull. He says he was hired to renovate the defendant's body shop garage, and the guy stiffened him and his assistant. When he saw him at a funeral, he politely asked where his money was. The guy flipped out. The cops were called, and now 18 months later, here they are. He's suing for $1,800, the amount he earned and is owed. This This is the defendant, Albert Buccini. He says he paid the plaintiff 5 checks totaling over $3,000 for his work, but the guy kept asking for more and more in an attempt to take advantage of him. That's right, he saw him as a cash cow and cornered him at his brother-in-law's funeral, for God's sakes, demanding more money. Who does that? Bottom line, he paid the plaintiff more than enough for the subpar work he did, and that's all he's gonna get. He's accused of refusing further payment.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff was hired to help renovate the defendant's body shop and got stiffed. But the defendant says the plaintiff was hammering him for way too much, even demanding money at a funeral. It's the case of, I won't rest in peace until you pay me.
Thank you, Douglas. Andrew Tull, A&T Renovations. You are suing Albert Buccini for $1,800 that you say he owes you for work that was done and completed, but that he never paid you for. Tell me about that.
Your Honor. Yes, I was contracted by Al to do some work at a body shop that he owned. He was going to have his nephew renovate to work in the body shop. He had me do work at my hourly rate with another employee of mine.
Okay, how did he have you do the work? Did you guys have a contract?
Verbal contract.
Okay, and verbally, what did he say he would pay you?
He would pay me $35 an hour, and my employee would be $20 an hour.
Okay, and then what was the work he was asking you to do?
Well, what we did was we power washed the body shop completely.
Okay.
We started to paint the body shop. We painted 90%.
You started to paint. How far along did you get?
We painted about 90% of it.
Okay.
There was a leak in the roof under the air conditioning condenser. I fixed all of the roof except for that.
How did you, when you say fix the roof, what does that mean?
I put down a torch down rubber modified roof.
Okay.
Underneath the air conditioning condenser was another source of the leak that I couldn't fix until the air conditioning condenser was removed.
Okay.
So Al found someone to rent the property and canceled all the work.
Did you now tell me everything that you'd done? If there's anything else, tell me about it.
No, that was it. I tore out a rug that Al said he didn't want torn out. He had someone come in to rent to work at the space for him.
You tore out a rug that he didn't want torn?
Yeah, it was an old rug in the office. He thought it was a good rug, and then someone came in that was going to run the body shop for him. He wanted the rug torn out because he was going to move into that area, and you said it's his bedroom and his office.
Okay.
So he asked for me to rip it out. Al said whatever he wanted me to do to take care of. So
and then later got mad that the rug got discarded? Okay,
yeah,
so go on.
It was a 30-year-old rug. It was no good.
Okay.
So everything fizzled out, and he wanted me to...
How much did he pay you?
It was about $4,000 or so.
And how did he pay you that $4,000 over in one
Checks.
payment and different payments?
Several checks.
How many checks?
About 5.
About 5?
Yes.
So how is it that you would get paid? What was the custom? You would submit an hourly?
Yes. I would submit my hours to Al, and he would pay me. Okay. And then he paid me less than I had on the estimate or for the invoice, and then finally he just stopped paying.
He gave you, well, let me hear from you. Mr. Buccini, why is it, according to him, you still owe him $1,800?
Your Honor, I met Mr. Tull. I was introduced to him by my nephew. Mr. Tull is a personal friend of my nephew. I had a tenant move out.
Awkward. Okay.
Tenant move out. And and all I wanted was the building painted inside and outside, right? And some leak work repaired to the roof. Told him not to do any demolition work to the rugs or in the main office because I could shampoo them, I could make them work for the next person to come in. Mr. Tull informed me other people were telling him to do this and that. I said, look,
Who were those other people that told you what to do?
I don't recall his name. He was the person that where Chris hired to run the body shop.
Okay. Do you know who he's talking about?
I don't know his name. Yes.
Well, that guy was giving orders and appeared to have your apparent authority to do so because he's there and you're not.
I told him specifically, do not use, I'm paying for it. Nobody tells you to do anything here but me. I told him, do not.
He says you specifically told him the opposite of that you told him, here's your guy,
No, I told him, do not.
So in any event, tell me what happens. Why do you stop paying him?
The work was substandard.
How so?
The payment, he's billing me hourly. I didn't know that. I said, what's taking so long?
What did you think he was going to bill you? The 5 checks you wrote him were just like that, right?
But he never defined it. I kept asking him.
He never what?
Never defined it. I kept asking him for paperwork.
Well, then why do you keep paying him?
Well, I stopped paying him. That's why I stopped.
No, why did you pay him 5 times? If that didn't work
He
for you...
insisted on getting the work was half done. I had to get it rented. I can't feed my family without the income.
Okay, so you kept having him work for you under this manner for 5 full checks, right?
5 checks.
Right. So in other words, when the first time that he presented you with something, you didn't say, well, what is this? I can't do business like this. You can do business like this, and you did do business like this. Now, apparently at the end, the last check he gives you is for how much?
Yes, Your Honor. I have a copy of the check here. The last check that he gave me was for $300. The balance in the notation section, he wrote $2,100 minus $300, $1,800 balance.
Let me see that. All right. And you cashed that check?
Yes.
And that was how long ago?
The date is on there. It was many months ago.
February of last year. And what's happened since then?
Well, I was sympathetic, Your Honor. I told the defendant, I told him whenever he can, if money's tight, I understand. Then he just stopped paying. He stopped answering my calls. I called, I texted, some of them nasty. He called the police on me. I did.
Some of your texts were nasty?
Yes.
Why? What'd you say?
Well,
who's the person next to you?
This is my daughter.
Ah, jeez. How old is your daughter?
She's 13.
Well, I don't know what nasty thing came out of your fingers, but can your daughter hear it?
Yes.
Yeah, maybe every time we text, we should think our daughter's going to hear it. So go ahead. What was it?
He's
got him at the ready. He's dying to show it. Let me see him. No, you can say where you are. Just get him up.
I was nasty.
So if somebody is just harassing you, does that ever justify just not paying the loan?
You got to pay the loan. If you borrow it, you got to pay it back.
But if they are just unrelenting with you, can you say, you cross the line, I'm not paying?
No, you got to pay it.
That's simple, huh? Going inside the courtroom.
The first text message was sent to me at 3:57 a.m. Can we talk?
He's losing sleep over it. You cheap male body part. I could tell you were a piece of blank when I first met you. Couldn't run out of that funeral fast enough to avoid me. I hope I blanking ruined your day, you blank. Ha ha ha. Blank. Well, now, this is like every minute. You are losing sleep over this.
Not my best moment, Your Honor.
Okay, I'll say it's not. But tell me about the funeral.
Well, Chris, his nephew, is a very close friend, and I went to pay honor to his father. Al was there, and I saw Al, and I shook his hand. I quietly leaned in and said, when are we going to be able to settle this? And he raised his voice so everybody could hear, you're going to pick a fight with me at a funeral? And then, everybody turned, and he walked out, and I followed him out.
And what happened when you followed him out?
I told him that you still owe me money, and he said, you're going to have to sue me in court.
Well, now you have your excuse not to pay me. That's all you were looking for. That's what you were waiting for. I know you're kind, you cheap blank. That's why you're a loser with an ugly blanking wife. Did you really say that?
Yeah, well, she cursed me out when I saw
So
Kristen.
what? What kind of thing is that to say?
It's nasty. It's very nasty.
It is nasty. It's deplorable in front of your 13-year-old that I'd be reading this out loud.
I'm ashamed of myself.
Call the police again, you cheap. What happened with the police?
He called the police after I confronted him at the funeral and told them that I made a big stink at the funeral.
Tell me what happened with that.
Well, I went to see my sister, and after that, I went to the police department. And I called my attorney. There's a letter in there from my attorney. And apparently, Mr. Tull has a history of this and was on probation for similar types of behavior.
Okay, stop. Apparently, he has a history of this and is on probation for a similar thing. What were you on probation for?
It's not similar. It was.
I'll be the judge of that. What were you on probation for?
It was road rage.
Road rage?
Yes.
It's very similar.
Yeah.
It actually is very similar. What happened with the road rage?
Well, someone cut us off, and I jumped out and screamed at him and grabbed him, and the police were right there.
You can't do that.
I never touched
You
Al.
need to have some anger management.
I did.
When you say we, who's we?
My brother was with me at the time.
Who was with you? Okay.
Yeah. But I never touched Al. I never threatened him whatsoever.
Just look at the text.
Why is there a check that says, why did you write a check that said $2,100 minus $300, $1,800 balance? That was the last check you wrote him.
Well, that was the dollars he came up with. I was trying to compare what he actually did and what he was billing. There was no time left over. I wanted to audit the photographs.
Let's see the photographs. Are they in evidence already?
I also have...
Hold on. Okay. So what's this a picture of?
So up the top, it's not painted. The top of the building's up. He charged me for that. It's not painted.
He had said that he did 90% of the paint. What's this a picture of?
office that he did demolition work I didn't authorize. I told him not to do it, and he tore out rugs, carpeting.
Listen, the guy's not going to do it for sport. Somebody's telling him to do it while he's there.
I didn't.
You're not there, then don't put somebody else in charge. What's this a picture of?
Outside paint work that he didn't do. He was supposed to do.
Okay, but see, here's the thing, sir. This would be fine if you hired him once, looked at the work, and were shocked and appalled and didn't pay him, and then this was your defense. The problem I have is you are clearly paying him. You've paid him 5 times for work he did. So you felt 5 times, not once, not twice, not 3 times, and not 4 times, but 5 times that he'd earned his keep. So if it's good enough for you, it's good enough for me. I find that you owe him $1,800, just like you said you did, and I'm ordering you to pay the plaintiff $1,800 plus his court costs. And listen to me.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Try to comport yourself like a grown man as opposed to a child, okay?
Thank you.
You know, just pretend your daughter's watching you at every turn.
She is.
Keep an eye on him.
Thanks, Your Honor.
Well, the plaintiff convinces the judge that he deserves the $1,800 and he gets it. Mr. Bini, what do you think?
Well, it's justice be done, and so be it. I respect the court. I respect her opinion. I disagree.
You do? Okay,
but
all right.
So be it. I disagree.
But you're going to pay.
I accept it.
Okay, all right. Very good. Thank you very much.
Right, thank you.
Okay. All right, Mr. Tull. I got to ask you, are you a little embarrassed about having those messages read in the trial?
Well, I knew it would come out.
You did?
Yeah, she knows her dad.
She knows her dad.
I'm tough.
Don't follow his example.
No, I told her that too.
You did?
I said, don't be like me.
You feel better now that you won?
I do.
Okay. Congratulations.
Thank
You must sign a few documents on your way out of the courtroom. Harvey?
Well, I'll make it as quick as them. Harassment is never a defense to repaying a loan. And that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.
This is the plaintiff, Kevin Mazon. He says the defendant stole his roofing tools, the things he needs to earn a living, and he won't return them. He also stole cash from him. There's no way he's going to allow this guy to get away with it, and is suing him here and now for the $800 he's owed. This is the defendant, Tony Wall. He says he tried to help this guy out by giving him a place to live. And this is the thanks he gets, a lawsuit? This man's a scammer because he was basically homeless. He had no cash or tools, and he would never steal. The plaintiff's a liar, and what goes around comes around. He's accused of helping himself to others' property.
All parties. Sir, this way. All parties. Please raise your right hand.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket. The plaintiff says the defendant stole his roofing tools, but the defendant says he gave the plaintiff a place to live, and now the guy's scamming him. It's the case of It's a Roof Life.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Kevin Mazon, you are suing Tony Wall for $800 that you say he stole from you in cash and tools and refuses to return. Tell me what happened.
I think it was the morning of October 26th. About 7:30 in the morning. I was lying in bed. He came into my apartment.
Okay, back it up and tell me how you ended up in that bed. How do you two know each other?
I'm a tenant. I was a tenant of his in the apartment.
Okay, you had struck a deal with him where you would be like the handyman and you would pay a reduced rent, correct?
Correct.
And what apartment did you move into when you first got there and were going to be the handyman and pay reduced rent?
Upstairs apartment.
The upstairs apartment.
Yes.
Interesting. Because in your own notes, you say that you moved into the upstairs apartment later.
No, that was the only apartment I moved into.
Okay. How much rent were you paying or supposed to pay?
$400.
$400 or $450?
He told me $400.
In your notes, you say $450. In your complaint, you say $450.
On the landlord's statement, he put $450.
No. This is your statement that you signed that is in my hands, and it says the rent was $450.
I paid a total of $700 when I first moved in for 2 months.
Okay, well, not if the rent's $450, you didn't, and even if the rent's $400, you didn't. Either way, that doesn't add up to 2 months' rent.
It was a thing where he needed money. He said, just give him what I had, and I could move in.
So let's move on. So then what happens? You were there from when to when?
October till December.
All right, so then on October 26th, there's banging on your door.
Yes.
All right, and who is it, him?
Yes.
And what's he say?
I had to go.
Okay, and you said, no, I paid rent.
Right.
All right, and then what happens? You call the police to stop him from moving, because he was moving your stuff physically.
Right.
Okay, with someone else's help, or?
Yes.
Okay, so you call the police, and what happens?
Came back with the officer, and they told him that he couldn't do that because, you know, I had to get evicted legally.
Right, he couldn't self-help like that.
Right.
So they made him put all the stuff back.
Yes.
And then what happens?
I left because he was, you know, I didn't want to be there with him and his buddy there because of the way they was talking.
Okay.
So I left while he was there.
Right.
When I came back, my stuff was back in the house. But as I'm going through my stuff, that's when I noticed my tools and my cash was missing.
How much cash was missing?
$500.
Okay, and what tools were missing?
2 shingle removers that you remove shingles with,
Mm-hmm.
and some roofing jacks.
Okay. Do you have a receipt for those tools?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And so did you call the police?
Yes.
And did you file a police report?
Yes.
May I see the police report? While you're looking for that, may I hear from you? What is your response?
Yes, Your Honor. I was trying to help Kevin from day one. I knew Kevin for about 4 or 5 years ago, and he moved to Georgia, and Kevin came back. So the first thing I tried to help Kevin with, I gave him a job. Then the second thing I did for Kevin, I gave him an apartment. He was working
Why were you helping him so much?
Because I knew Kevin. His parents...
No, I know a lot of people. You don't see me doing all the stuff.
Right.
So why him?
Well, I was helping Kevin because he used to help me when he was here before as a handyman. I used to pay him.
Okay.
So he was constantly helping me.
Okay.
So when he came back this time, I tried to help him again.
Okay.
And so I let him move in the downstairs apartment. He wasn't doing nothing he was supposed to say, but he knew the people upstairs was getting evicted. So as soon as the people got evicted, he moved upstairs.
What was the difference between the 2 apartments?
Well, it's a full apartment. It was a better apartment. He was supposed to stay in that room downstairs and fix the downstairs up, which he never did. So, like he said that morning, I came there, knocked on the door. I said, Kevin, you got to move back downstairs. He refused. So me and this other guy started moving all his stuff downstairs. He calls the police. Police came, said, you got to move his stuff downstairs and evict him the legal way.
Right, but did you tell them, well, wait a minute, he's renting the downstairs, not the upstairs?
Right, but they didn't want to hear that.
Okay.
So I moved all his stuff back upstairs.
Did you take, how much did you say, $500?
Yes.
Did you take $500 in tools?
If you would see his room and look at it, and I can show you pictures, you can.
Yeah, I'd like to see pictures.
I thought she said she had it on the monitor for you.
Okay, so hold on.
Now, that's his bedroom right there.
Okay.
Let's keep going through. You can see how he was living. That's what he had in that room, in his bedroom. That's how the room looked in November again. That's the kitchen. Look at the floor and stuff. He was just he lived like an animal.
Okay.
So when the police came, told me put his stuff back. So I went downstairs, started working in the downstairs apartment. 3 hours later, the police showed back up again. And they said that Kevin said I pulled a gun out on him, which I have a gun permit. And they said I took $1,000 in a ring.
Wait, he said you robbed him?
No, he said after the police left.
Well, if you pull a gun out and you take money, that's one plus the other is an armed robbery.
I never seen Kevin.
What was it he said, though? What was it he told the police?
So is the plaintiff's word without additional evidence good enough?
Yes, credibility on its own is good enough.
So a person's word is enough to win a case?
Yes and no. They should really have someone there to say what happened.
Yes and no. You should run for political office one day. Seriously. Going inside the courtroom.
What did the police say he said?
That's what he said. I pulled a gun out on him.
What, pulled out on a gun and did what?
That's what I want to know.
And that's it, and then turned around? What did the police, finish the police sentence. You pulled a gun out on him in order to what?
That's what I want to know.
All right, so there's a copy of the police report on my desk. Thank you. So according to the police, he tells the police that how much was stolen?
He said $1,000. That's what the police told me.
Did you tell the police $1,000 was stolen?
In all, it was $1,000.
Did you tell the police $1,000 was stolen and tools?
No, altogether, it was $1,000.
Okay. Why is there a page missing from this police report? Stay where you are. Why did you pull it out? Because you're worried it doesn't help you?
What's that?
You heard me just fine.
This part? No, it got stuck. This got stuck to a piece of...
you know how that's always happened.
It got stuck to a piece of tape right there.
Thank you. There's a page missing from the police report. Can I have it? Because apparently he just found it. All right, what does that page say that you wouldn't want me to have it? No, that's just a copy of the... Let's get the real police report. One item, stolen money, $1,000. That's what the police report says. You literally pulled this page out when you handed me the police report because this is what you told the police, that one item was missing. It was $1,000 in cash. That's exactly what the police say you said. How did it become tools and $500?
All together. When I told them my stuff was missing.
Why would they make a mistake like this and write that it's exactly $1,000 cash and that's all that's missing? Did the police ever tell you, he says you have his tools or anything like that?
Tools was never mentioned. The police said $1,000 in a ring. That's the only thing they said to me.
In a ring?
In a ring. They said a ring too.
Okay. So what did the police do?
They just left.
Okay. Now, where is he now? Is he still living there?
No, this is the other part. I had to get him evicted. So he didn't pay December rent. December rent, I took him to court. He never showed up. So I got an automatic eviction.
Okay, so you're done with him and you're happy.
I thought that was the end.
And then all of a sudden you get a lawsuit suing for $500 and tools. All right, you have no proof you ever had tools. You have proof you ever had $500 there or $1,000 or whatever it is today? I'll take that as a no. My verdict is for the defendant.
Thank you, Anna. Crackhead.
Your mammy is crackhead.
Yeah, I know. You're homeless. Your mama. You're homeless and you're a crackhead.
Well, the defendant really prevails in this case. If you'll step over here, Mr. Wall, you seem like a pretty good guy. You trying to help? What are you talking? What are you saying with him right now?
This guy's a crackhead, and I should have never let him around me. And that taught me a lesson: never let certain people in your surroundings.
Okay, so he's gone now.
He's
right?
gone for good.
For good. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck to you. This is the plaintiff who's coming out now. You were laughing at him from a moment ago. You lost the case. What are you thinking? Why are you laughing?
Things happen. It don't go in your favor all the time, but that's the way it goes.
Okay. Are you doing all right?
Yes, sir.
Where are you living now?
I live in my own apartment.
Okay.
I live in my own apartment.
Okay. Very good.
Everything is going well.
Good luck to you.
All
okay.
right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Doors that way. Harvey?
Doug, I got to tell you, this plaintiff may well be lying, and that police report is really, really damning. You should know that lying under oath is perjury, and that's a crime.